Hey there, I hope you're doing well. I just want to jump on here and give you some bonus content. I want to direct your attention to the lower right-hand corner. If you have been using Open WebUI, from time to time you might see this message pop up that a new version is now available. We could click on this link here, and it's not going to update it. It's going to take you to the latest build here. It's going to tell you some of the stuff they've added. A while back, I created a bonus clip on how to automatically start Open WebUI. That's really helpful. I love that because when I need to use Open WebUI, everything's fired up, it's ready to go. Docker has started up, Open WebUI container is started, and I just hit localhost :3000 and it's ready to go. Wouldn't it be nice if you could have Open WebUI just automatically updated so you don't have to worry about it? So what are the options for updating Open WebUI? Well, you could do it manually, which means you have to stop and remove the current container. You have to pull the latest Docker image, and you have to start the container again with the updated image. And so there's a few steps. This is awful. That's a dreadful option. Don't even look at it. Scroll down. We'll call that option 0, right? So how do we automatically update? That's really what we want, right? The only thing I want to mention here is make sure you know your username and password, because if you have not set that WebUI secret key, it will log you out after an update. Here we have a few options, and they all use Watchtower. And so what is Watchtower? Good question. I'm glad you asked. It'll only take a few seconds to come up to speed on what Watchtower does. It's a container-based solution for automating Docker container-based image updates. So what it does is you can have it check every once in a while for a new image, and it'll automatically update your container. So in this case, what it'll do, it's when Open WebUI pushes out a new image to their registry. So Watchtower will look and see if it's newer than what you already have, and it will pull down the new image. It'll gracefully shut down your existing container, and then it'll restart it. And this is the great part about it. It'll do it with the same options that were used when it was deployed initially. So that's sweet. It does it for you without having to reconfigure anything. And also, you've attached volume, the Docker volume here, that is going to keep all your data settings as well. So you're not going to lose anything when you're updating. Let's look at the options. Option 1 is a one-time update. It's more of a semi-auto option in this case, but it's still nice because it does it all with one command. It's one and done. So what it does is it starts up a Watchtower container, and this RM will tell it to remove it when it's done, so it'll automatically remove that. It'll just run it once, and it's important to have the container name, what you're updating, in this case, Open WebUI. This here just connects the socket to the Docker daemon, and it will be able to then get the information it needs. Okay, so we'll revisit this in a little bit. It's not totally automated as is. You do have to run it. In our case, we would run it from a command line, and it would do its thing. All right, so option 2, running Watchtower as a separate container. This allows you to fully automate it, and what it'll do is run it in detached mode, and then it will also, it has an interval here of 300 seconds, 5 minutes. So when would you want to go with option 2? Well, I would if I had a dedicated machine running just Open WebUI, and that's what it does, and it just stays running. So that might be a good option in that case. There's a couple things I would change on this command. I would do a -- restart always, so it would always stay running, come up automatically, and then I would probably get rid of this interval of 300 seconds. 5 minutes is just, that's spastic, I think. That is some overhead. That's, even though it's low impact, it's just not necessary. So if you take off this interval, it defaults to 24 hours. Every 24 hours, it's pretty good. You know, if you want it more, you can. You can set that whatever seconds. You can also set it at as a cron format every night at 1 a.m. or something. You can do it that way. So there are other options. The reason I wouldn't do that with mine is that I just start it once in a while. I don't want to run that frequently. And if I had it on 24 hours, it probably would never update. And so that not the best option in my case. All right, so let's look at option 3. And it's integrating Watchtower with docker-compose YAML file. And so when would you want to use this option? Well, I would probably use it again if it's probably a dedicated machine. And in addition to that, if it had containers you wanted to start up at the same time Open WebUI does, it has these maybe dependencies, and you want it to come up all in one unit, maybe a little more complicated type system, then this makes sense. For us, it's definitely overkill. So what I want to do is none of these things exactly. It'll be a combination. So what I want it to do is like 5 minutes after I log in, for it to check it for an update, and if it finds a new one, to update it. So to make that happen, it'll be a combination of some things. It'll be this one-time update that I'll run, and I'll fire that with Windows Task Scheduler. And I'll just have it trigger 5 minutes after I log in, and I'll see a command line window pop up, and it'll check, and I'll see if it's actually doing an update. I'll know about it. I'm aware of it. And if not, it'll just automatically close that window and go on. So I like that. It works well for me. But any of these other options here, you could, that might work better in your circumstance. Maybe you don't care about it running that frequency, and that's a good option for you. Now, one thing it has here is it recommends for NVIDIA to use the --GPU all. And I don't really have to do that in my case because I originally had the CUDA tag on there, and it'll see that and it'll pull the right image automatically. It'll be fine. You can use any of these options you want, but I want to show you a different option just in case it works well for you. So let's do it. What I'm going to do is create a batch file, which I've done here, and I'm going to put that run once command in here and run it as a batch file. And then, since I am running this on a Windows machine, I'm going to use the task scheduler. If you're more familiar with Linux, it's kind of like a cron job. I already created a folder called Tiger Triangle just to keep things separated and a little cleaner. So I'll click Create Task. We're going to name this Update Open WebUI. Let's see. Run only when users logged in. Yes, that sounds good. So if we click on the triggers, we could schedule this to run at a certain time. But what I really want it to do is I would like this to check for updates when I log into Windows and actually have a little delay. So everything's up and going, and then it checks. So let's click New here. Not on a schedule. We're going to choose at log on, specific user. It'll be when I log in. I want to delay it for, I'd say 5 minutes would be fine. And the dates are fine. We'll make sure it's enabled and click OK on that. So the actions will tell it what to run. So we'll click on New here to create a new action. We're going to start a program. And we're going to need to put it in quotes here. Otherwise, since it's got spaces in the name of my batch file, probably shouldn't have done that. We are also going to go ahead and start it in the batch folder. Say OK. And I think we're going to just leave everything else on default. We do want to allow that to run on demand. Okay, good. So there we have our job here in the scheduled task, and it's going to run at login. There's going to be a 5-minute delay. Now, the nice thing about this as well is we can actually right-click and run this on demand. All right, so it started up now. I did add updating Open WebUI to this just as an echo, and it is running. Now, you might wonder if it's actually doing anything because there's not a lot of feedback, but it is. Just walk away and do something else while it's updating or whatever, and let it do its thing. You could also look at the network utilization here and some of the activity going on. You can see that Docker is doing like receiving quite a bit of data here. And yeah, so it looks like it's at least doing something. But if you just looked at the command line, you would kind of wonder. Let it do its thing, and then it should be updated, and you're good to go. So we'll check back here after a while. There is one other thing I want to show you just real quick, though. But one thing I did was enable the logs on this. So if you go into your event viewer, into applications and service logs, and Microsoft Windows, on down there, alphabetical order, of course. So down here in the task scheduler, there's operation mode. You want to make sure and enable that if you need to look at logs, and that'll give you a view here. Well, I guess you can actually see it in here as well. The history will show up after it runs, and if it has any problems, anything like that. So just to let you know, that is something that might be helpful if you do run into problems. All right, so we'll again go back to this and let that run. So it finished running, and I just logged in, and the what's new in Open WebUI message box popped up with the release notes of the 0.6.31. So that's a good sign. It looks like that it did update it. So that's what we wanted. And as usual, a lot of stuff added, which is why you probably want to get the latest. So if we go through here and click OK, and then check again the settings and about, we can see we have the latest. The day after I made the original video and did the on-demand update, I logged in, and 5 minutes later, it ran the batch file, and it did have another update. So it worked, which is good. And now I'm running version 0.6.32, which is the latest. And I also changed the theme to dark, as you can see. Let's do a quick wrap up here. We looked at different options on how to update Open WebUI and focused in on the automatic updates. We looked at the three options here in their documentation, and we talked about when you might want to use these, and I mentioned what I might change on these commands. Like this one, I would have a restart always, and maybe change the interval. And then I gave another option that's not listed here, where you can run it from the Windows Task Scheduler. So you can choose. Any of these options might work great for your situation. Maybe leave a comment and tell me what option did you go with and what works best for you and why. So I really hope this helped you in some way. And join me next time as we learn Open WebUI inside out.